Hello, everybody. Welcome to my podcast. The reason I wrote The Buckets of Love was to help everyone save their relationship. People who really loved each other, who were getting into trouble now and couldn't work out why, that they could actually salvage it and save it and fix it. And that's why I wrote the book. This is what the whole intention was. So the reason I'm doing this podcast particularly is that you want to save your relationship, and could be that one wants to save more than the other because maybe one of the people is getting their needs met more than the other, so they don't need to have that feeling like you might be the one who getting your needs met. You need to really work at this to save your relationship. Our relationships are usually based on love in the romance ones, and there's lots of wonderful things about being in love with somebody. However, normal life kind of gets in the way, and oh my God, there's so many things happening around you that impact on your relationship, and often quite negatively. That's really important to fix up the buckets so you can save it and not lose it. I always used to feel like there were all these things that just got put one on top of the other on the relationship and almost can smother it, and that we need to really find ways to bring ourselves back to the relationship, because we are the core. Even if we have children, we're still the core of the whole family, of the relationship. It's important that you talk to your partner about this. You might not do it exactly how I've done it, but there might be parts of this book that you can take with you and start working on, because usually it's only one person who usually starts to get agitated and worried about things more than the other, and they're the ones who will probably drive the relationship into saving itself. It's worth trying to save it, because then if it does go all wrong, at least you don't have any regret. You know you tried to save it, you know you tried to fix it, you did everything in your power, and it's actually easier to walk away then, because you get that feeling that it's all done. However, if you just let it fall away and don't make the effort and invest in trying to save it, then I think it's just harder. And sometimes you'll just stay in it too, and you'll just settle. And settling's so bad. When you settle, you're never going to be really happy, particularly if you were so in love and so happy at the beginning and now you've just settled. And I was speaking to someone the other day, and they were just saying that they wish they could get it back to how it was. They don't feel the same as what they used to feel, and all these things aren't working, but they've decided they're just in it. That's all that they said to me. I'm just in it, and I just go through the motions. You don't want to live like that. You don't want to go through the motions. Not if you can go and fix all these parts up. Remember, it's all about meeting the needs of the other person, about nourishing them, about fixing up the bucket that's not working for them, about finding ways to fill it that will help them, and that will ultimately help your relationship. And then it goes the other way. It's about you being clear about what your buckets are that are problems for you, and how you need that partner to fix them and how they can fix them. We need to get really clear about where it's going wrong for us on an individual level, and then how to fix them. We need to tell the other person how to fix them. You can't just go like, oh, I want you to fix it. You have to tell people how to do that. Like, what do you mean by this? What do you mean about fixing up the bucket? Tell me how that looks to you. What do I have to do? Tell me ways you can fix it. This is what's important. It's to communicate with each other all the time. And then to save your relationship, you have to be working on the buckets, but you also have to be talking. Like, are you feeling better about that? Are you feeling better about the romance bucket? Are you feeling better about the emotional bucket? Are you feeling better about the work bucket now? About the family bucket? About the parent bucket? About the friend bucket? Am I being a better friend to you? Do you feel like the friend bucket is now full again? It's about communicating all the time. And honestly, it doesn't have to be one of those big, long discussions that goes on till 4 in the morning. It just has to be touching base and asking, am I doing enough? Am I doing enough? Are you happy with that? That's all it takes. You don't have to go and spend hundreds of dollars on therapy to get someone to teach you how to talk to each other. You can actually just talk to each other, The therapy's great and it can open up lots and lots of areas for you. But at the end of the day, if you don't talk to each other, if you don't explain to each other what you need, it doesn't matter how much therapy you have. You have to be willing to say what you need, and they have to be willing to say what they need, and then you both have to be willing to give it to each other. And that's the other thing. Don't love that person conditionally. Love that person unconditionally. So you will do whatever it takes to fix it. Because when we love conditionally, and sometimes we start off unconditionally at the beginning, but then for some reason we sort of switch and go into that power place because things aren't going that well. And then we start to now love conditionally. We're going to have a lot more trouble giving to the other person. Because when you love conditionally, you don't give love. You just don't give it. They have to earn it. They have to deserve it. You only get it if you're well behaved or something. I don't know. Conditional love is very punishing, I think. I really don't like conditional love. It's too on, off, on, off. Unconditional love is just flowing out the whole time. And that's why people like animals, because animals just love you unconditionally. Don't go to the conditional love spot when you're trying to work on this. Go to the unconditional love. Open up your heart to that person. Let all your grudges go from the past. Let all your little bitterness and your little fights, just let them to the side. You're trying to save the relationship. Don't focus on the negative. Focus on how you can fix it. Be positive. Be proactive. Because that's how you'll fix the buckets up. It's no good saying, well, you never did this and you never did that and I asked you to. Forget about that. That's in the past. Now you go, this is what I need. I don't think I was clear enough. This is what I want you to do. This is what I don't want you to do. This is what really works for me. Then the person starts with a nice clean slate and they can start filling up that bucket. You have to know what you need. What do you mean by you need space? What does that actually mean for you? Does that mean that you need to be on your own, or does it mean that you can be with them and just doing your own thing next to them? Does it mean you have to be in the shed? What does it mean? You need to explain what that means to you, what that need is in you. Then you can explain it to the other person. I am a firm believer that if we have strong love for each other, that we can make it work. It's only when one of the buckets really starts not working, and particularly if it's a priority bucket for the other person, that it doesn't work. In my case, it was the trust bucket. That was like the first, I think it was number 2. It was like love and then trust was in my order. And the trust bucket was completely messed up. And that's why my relationship actually didn't work. And it didn't matter what I tried to do to get the other person to fix it, they wouldn't. And my whole relationship just disintegrated because the trust bucket, which is a high priority for me, couldn't be filled, and eventually it broke the entire marriage. That's what I want you to understand, that these priority buckets are really important because that's where it's going to fall apart. If we truly do love that other person, we should want to fix it for them. We should go beyond to fix it for them. That's what unconditional love does. If we love them conditionally, it doesn't seem to work as well, that one, does it? But I want you now to think about saving your marriage, saving your relationship, being open to working on this, making the time for it. And you'll need to keep an eye on the difficult buckets, the ones that tend to fall over a little bit. You need to keep an eye on those. You're going to find there's not really a lot of areas to work on. There'll be like a few really big problem ones, and then some ones that niggle away there. Do the work. Try and save your relationship. Get your partner on board with you. Make it a positive experience, because what you're really doing is really positive. It's trying to fix your relationship, and that can only be a really positive thing for you in the future and for your long-term happiness, and also if you have children, for their long-term happiness, to try and save it. And then if it doesn't work, you've done everything you can. And I'd like to apologise for all my 2 little crows that come to my house every day. We've got a couple, but they're outside my window today. So I'm just going to leave them on the podcast because that's real life, isn't it? And there you go. They mate for life, don't they? they stay together the whole time, which is rather incredible. Okay, good luck. Save your marriage, save your relationship, work on the buckets.